The Survivor Specialists are back with our Survivor 46 predictions and power rankings for episode number 4. And what better way to spend your St. Patrick's Day than with a redhead and a guy whose last name is O'Kane? For the first time in podcast history, Jake O'Kane from Survivor 45 is here joining me. It's just going to be the two of us. We're going to be breaking down everything we've seen thus far and what is going to happen in episode number 4 and potentially beyond. Jake, we got to make sure we get your winner bite by the end of this, so don't let me forget. If you're stoked to see Jake, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, but I'm going to turn it over to Jake right now. Jake, you're very, very dressed up. You have I see clovers, I see everything. What's going on?
It's St. Patrick's Day because it's St. Patrick's Day, but I'm an Irishman, got to represent, and I'm rooting for Sega, so we're going green.
I love that. I love that. And I'm wearing my Miami stuff because after our Final Four run last year, it's Selection Sunday, and we sucked so bad this year that I just have to reminisce on better days. So that's where we're at here. But you're loving Sega. Is that what I'm hearing?
I am loving Sega. I like Sega. I think it's a fun vibe. I wish we saw a little bit more of them, of what's going on right now instead of 4 days ago. Mm-hmm. Fun stuff 4 days ago, but just a new editing tactic.
What did you think about? So there were two big ones in this episode. It was the Sega 4 days ago, and it was the fact that Hunter's confessionals were blatantly from him on day 1 or pregame or day 2 because he didn't have a single speck of dirt on his body. So what did you think about those two?
The Hunter thing, I picked that out. I was like, that seems really early, but that was a little bit different, which is, the bed's amazing. Holy crap. If you look at Nami's shelter, it's better than anything that was on 45. I was in every shelter on 45. Better than anything anyone had the whole 26 days. But what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, the 4 days prior. It was fun, but it was also like, I kind of want to know what's going on now, but I get that you don't want to double up of like, oh, look, everyone's finding idols and just dump it all into one episode. I get spreading it out.
Yeah, and it feels like, what I think a lot of people, because I tweeted about this 4 days later, this is the first time we've seen something like this, especially that many days previous. And a lot of people were saying, well, now it's so obvious Sega is going to lose. And I think the confusion now from the fan base is, well, Sega didn't lose, so why did they wait until episode number 3 to decide to show this? And the only conclusion I could come up with was because Randon went home and there was no tribal council, they figured this is the perfect time to show something like this and make that happen. Do you think that was the reason, or you think I'm looking too far into that?
I mean, it could have been the reason, but I feel like it was just, we don't want it, because Tiffany found the idol the first episode, Randon found the idol episode 2, and then, episode-wise, Jem found it episode 3. I think they just didn't want to do 2 in one episode.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even with episode 2, like, I know there was a complaint from a lot of fans that it was kind of dragging at that point. The 2 hours dragged for some people. I thought it was fine. It didn't really bother me too much. But I think if there was an idol find, I could see it dragging even more for people. So I think it was smart that Survivor did it.
Yeah. A lot of people have been saying that early on here, that they felt like these first 3 episodes have felt long. Now, like I said, I'd watch you all stare at the fire for 5 hours. I don't care. What do you think it is? Because 60 minutes nobody was ever happy. 2 hours, people were complaining it was too long. And then last week's was 90 minutes, and people were calling it in our comments the worst hit episode in the history of Survivor, which is funny because there's a lot of really horrific episodes of Survivor. But what do you think it is? Like, do we need 75-minute episodes? Will that make people happy? Like, what is the prime spot that's going to make Survivor fans happy, Jake? Let's put you on the spot here.
Hold up. People said episode 3 was the worst episode of all time.
Yeah, I was getting some comments. I got to see if I can find some of them so that, you talk on that. I'll see if I can find some.
Okay, yeah. That's wicked hyperbolic, right? Like, that was not the worst episode of all time. Was it the best episode of all time? No. Also, no. Like, I thought it was fine. Like, honestly, it was super disappointing to see Brandon go home in that way. Like, I don't know. I tweeted this out, but I was like, honestly, that medevac hit harder for me than any medevac I'd seen before. I don't know if it was just because, like, I played, like, no offense, Bruce. I love Bruce. Bruce is my guy. But, like, even when he got medevac the first time, I was like, that's unfortunate. Whatever. On to the next thing. But, like, the random thing gutted me, dude. But I think in terms of, I think 90 minutes is the sweet spot. I think 90 minutes, it's enough to get character moments, strategy moments, and there's nothing doubling up. Because sometimes, like, things are a foregone conclusion. Like, if it is a foregone conclusion that I mean, anything can happen, right? Like anything could be found. Someone could mix something up. But there are votes that this person's going on. Nothing's changing. Like
Yeah.
we've seen that in Survivor history, and it's gonna be a slow episode. So I do think like 90 minutes, even if, especially if it's three tribes, you can, you know, if it's boring episode, go to someone's backstory. If it's a boring episode, go to another tribe. But I do think 90 minutes should be here to stay. And if you want it shorter than 90 minutes, I don't think you're a Survivor fan.
That's kind of Will's approach was last week, and then we lost about 75 subscribers from the time he said that until there. So remember, guys, don't lose it over Jake here saying that. But I do agree with you. I do agree. It's like if you're not liking the 90 minutes, because what I think Survivor would do, and they're never going to do this because then you have to pay people. And who wants to pay people to do this? Because ultimately it's you're paying people to say F you. You're not paying people to actually make something good. It would be edit a 60-minute version of the first 3 episodes. Let's see how many confessionals we get from Kenzie and Tiffany and Maria and Charlie and Ben and then go over to Nami and let's see if Soda and Venus are getting the screen time. And I know Soda had no confessionals last episode, but let's see. Because I guarantee you, if these were 60-minute episodes, these first 3, the Yanu tribe, which I keep calling the Banu tribe, which is not what I mean, but it's the Yanu tribe, would almost look exactly the same as how they look. The other tribes, it would be like whatever the tribe's name was in Samoa, not Foa, the other one, which I can't think of right now, but the one with Russell Swan, where they would be like, oh, there is a purple tribe on this season. That's nice. That's what it would have been like with those other 2 tribes because they wouldn't have had time to jump around and show all of that along with the journeys and along with all that. So I'm fine with the 90 minutes. And honestly, last week's episode, my dad very rarely texts me after a Survivor episode that doesn't result in a crazy blindside. And he texted me saying, man, this Banu guy is so annoying. All he does is cry. And I feel like that was the sentiment coming out of that episode. But I kind of like Banu. And I like how the Purple Tribe is such a chaotic mess that I'm entertained by it because I don't feel like it's fake. I feel like they're all playing Final Four Survivor, not realizing they're still in the tribe stage of the game.
I like that. They're playing Final Four. But yeah, I mean, it's impossible not to like Banu. I mean, not impossible, but it's difficult to not like Banu because, you know, people are like, oh, he's extra, but it's like, it's honest. You know what I mean? Like, if it's honest, you know, I don't think you can really dog him too much for that. But, I mean, he's clearly having a rough time out there. But all the other stuff I'm seeing from Yanu, like, I mean, his confessionals are great. Mermaid Dragon is an amazing confessional.
Yeah.
Like, does it make the most sense, Mermaid Dragon? No. But, like, it's awesome. And you're going to remember that for a wicked long time. And then, I mean, Tiffany Q and Kenzie, I think, are also like awesome to watch. Like, I really love the stuff from Q this episode. I mean, not the fact that he was like, oh, just vote me out. Oh, poor me. And like, yeah. I kind of like Tiffany being like, get out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah, grow up.
Yeah, grow up. But it was, I don't know. I feel like we're getting a lot of fully fledged things. Instead, you, like, if it was 60 minutes, you would have seen Q like, get rid of me. Like, that sucked. And then Tiffany just be like, get out of here. He's being a baby. You wouldn't have had the whole thing with like, you know, the football whistles in the background with like Q being like, oh, Bird, what's his last name? Burdett fumbles or whatever. Yeah, Burdett fumbles. And I don't know. I thought it was like good TV, but also like it's really rough. Like who publishes it in the fucking paper that, excuse me, that a kid did that? That's
Mississippi,
awful.
Man. You got to take your sport. That's an SEC state, man. They got to win even in high school. We don't have time for that.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying this poor kid, you know?
No, that was brutal. And I mean, I don't think that would have been included. And I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of that stuff wouldn't have been included because they would have just focused more over on the Orange tribe. I don't think they would have even gone to the Purple tribe afterwards because I think they would have been spending their time with Orange talking to them about, oh, Randon's back and all of that stuff because they wouldn't have had time to go to both tribes after.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of like it does feel like there was things we could have taken from different segments and seen of Siga. Like, dude, maybe there's not an update. That's probably why we didn't see anything. But Jem also has an idol sitting in her pocket, which is cool. And like we saw that, but like there's some, I mean, I only had an idol for like what, two days, I think. But like you can feel that weight on you. So to not hear from her holding on to that weight for 4 days, I kind of wish we heard something from her.
Yeah, because did we get a confessional from her from day 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever days were in this, or was her only confessional from right after she found that idol?
I think it was right after she found it.
It was right after she found it, right? That's so
Yeah,
weird.
it
It's so weird.
was weird. But
Yeah.
it was, to speak on Gem real quick, it was amazing how she found that box at night. That's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to do. Like, because it is dark
I
out
was
there.
impressed she could read the note at night. That was the most impressive thing to me.
Yeah. Like, that's really impressive. Gem has night vision. Clearly,
She's one of
good
the
for her.
X-Men. I mean, she has been labeled as one of the X-Men by Ben, so that's a potential thing.
That's awesome. Have you seen his artwork on Twitter?
Oh, it's incredible.
Oh,
I told her I'm saying him and Eric Reichenbach need to team up for Dabu Doodles and Ben need to team up and they need to do something because I think that'd be amazing.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I'm so here for it.
Yeah. Ice X here says Happy St. Patty's Day, Jake, and then Leslie Tanash Chingosho is watching live from Nairobi, Kenya right now. So
wow.
There you go, Jake. There you go.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
You're international, famous worldwide. So let's talk about this Randon situation. He gets pulled from the game. Turns out that his health wasn't actually dire, but then he did reveal in some of his post-game interviews that he took months of, anti-inflammatories, therapy, all of that stuff before he was able to actually get this back, the feeling in his hand back. But I don't want to ask about Randon, really. Here's the question that came to mind, and I'm pissed at myself because it didn't come to mind until after I was done with my recap last week. Why didn't Yanu still go to Tribal Council? Why were they rewarded in a show that is going to have multiple double boot episodes this season? Why not just move one of those double boots to here where they still have to go? We saw this with Caleb and Alicia back in Korong. That whole episode was about Caleb almost dying, and then Alicia still went home, by the way, in case anybody forgot. Why do you think that didn't happen here?
I mean, I imagine, like, they have these challenges like FOB built in advance and stuff. I imagine there's going to be some kind of split tribal come merge, and they're going to need enough people to, like, whatever, fill those slots. I mean, they're going to be, like, if you look at my season, like, when we had the split tribal, we had, like, the red and blue poles. It was the famous poverty pole challenge. And that'd be kind of weird if there just wasn't one pole being used.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So it's probably, like, a logistics thing, I imagine. But yeah, it does kind of go against the mantra of being like, in the most dangerous game, there's the monster. I mean, the monster and Jelinski left, but I imagine there's still some danger set aside from the monster.
Well, and for me in this one, Jelinski's gone, which, I mean, Jelinski, his 2-hour episode, they could have made that premiere 6 hours long and we still wouldn't have gotten enough Jelinski. But it was so good. But to me, it just felt weird because it was like Yanu. Yes, Yanu. I'm saying the tribe right. God, this Yanu Banu thing is screwing me up. But Yanu actually did get rewarded here when they still lost. Whereas Nami, who finished first in that challenge, and they have finished first in every challenge, I think maybe with the exception of one, loses a member. Now, granted, Survivor's not fair. Things are going to happen. We saw Erica smash an hourglass, and then we saw the year later Roxroy smash an hourglass. Like, we've seen this stuff happen. But this, to me, just felt like an opportunity. And I think what you said is probably 100% right. They have something set up further down the line. We also saw this in season 44 when Matthew did get pulled from the game and they let Josh and Jam Jam, that was coming to a head. That Tika 4 got to stay there, but that was right before the Mergatory. So to me, I get why you wouldn't do that because you already have the Mergatory set up. You have what's going to happen at 13, 12, 11, 10. This is happening early enough that maybe now there's just a day or something in between a challenge, or you have one less challenge on this season. Maybe they didn't want to go that route, but that's where I was thinking it was going to go, or that's at least how I felt it should have gone, because I don't think Yanu should have been rewarded for this. And we're going to get to our rankings in a few minutes here.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think Yanu benefited from this that much because I feel like they're probably going to lose again. Randon didn't even participate in the last challenge, and Nami still finished first. So what do you think of this?
I mean, I don't think Yanu's winning. I think it's just a teamwork thing more than anything else. Like, it's not like they don't have the strength. Because I think if you were like, all right, Yanu, push this thing. Siga, pick their 4 strongest members. Push this thing. Like, I would maybe put a little more money on Yanu. But it's just like, clearly the teamwork's not there. I mean, in terms of the Medevac and Yanu getting a pass on the voting someone out, I mean, I think you did bring up a good point about like Josh and the whole Tika point where Matthew went home. I do think that, that's probably a better precedent since it's New Era versus like the Caleb and Alicia thing. So, I mean, if they're going to do that, I mean, these guys saw all of 44, so they saw that. So I do think that, like, you know what, keep it the same. If that's the New Era rules, that's the New Era rules. But I do kind of think, like, if you are going to then maybe back off from the Danger Cole vibe a little bit because, I don't know, it's just kind of a free pass more than anything.
That's how it felt to me, too. It felt like it was a free pass. It felt like it was just there, no issues, whatever. So, okay, yeah, Yanu, they survived. They advanced. They do whatever. I'm actually going to text Will right now, see if he has his rankings because we're about to start ripping through these things. Let's talk a little bit about that Nami tribe. You talked about Hunter and what he built, but what's going on with Tevin getting that initial confessional that ended up not working? Like then he gets nothing last week. So he gets the initial confessional. I didn't mean to say it didn't work out. He got the initial confessional where it was like that huge 2-minute monologue, and he got nothing last week. Soda's been a soundbite machine. She got nothing last week.
Yeah.
Liz, all of a sudden, I mean, I know she's a multi-billionaire at this point, but what's going on with Liz and what do you think's happening with the Nami tribe? Because I don't feel like we know the dynamics of that one as well, especially now that Randon's gone. Does that affect where the vote might go in your mind?
A little bit, right? Like Venus is definitely less insulated. She has someone who's not looking out for her anymore. And I think that's a pretty big deal. I mean, did you listen to like a lot of the exit interviews for Randon? Am I allowed to bring that into this? Or?
Yeah, bring up as many as you want.
Okay. So hearing stuff from him, it looked like Soda was potentially on the chopping block, according to him, when he left. So it goes back. It really depends. It's who's bought. I think it's probably, in my mind, be between Venus and Soda at this point, just based off what we're hearing on the show and then hearing from Randon's exit interviews. He really hyped up Liz a lot. Like, I think if you asked me after episode 1 or 2, Liz would probably be like this whole Soda dynamic and Venus dynamic, maybe being hyped up a little bit. But after hearing Randon's exit interviews, I maybe it's not,
Yeah.
And I think I would have said Liz, but I think Liz is fine. I think we're looking at Soda or Venus potentially. I mean, in the commercial for next week, they're like, what did Tevin say? Soda got to go to?
Yeah, I think that, exactly.
And so,
I thought his post-game stuff was exciting, but then I also thought that some of the secret scenes people have been talking about as well were showing this orange tribe in a different light. And I forget exactly what the secret scenes were, but there were a couple that came out this week. I think there was at least one that was about the orange tribe. But the main thing that I took away was Brandon said that when he brought up Venus's name to Soda or whatever it was, that was a test of Soda to see where she was at. Was that when he brought up Venus's name or when he brought up somebody's name? That was a test that he was trying to use to see where Soda was like stood with him and if he could trust her. We got none of that from the edit at all.
Yeah. Well, I imagine because it's like, obviously, like Randon wasn't there a very long time. So why would we need that additional fold for zero payoff? But
sure.
I do think it, which is interesting because Soda doesn't come across to me at all like someone who would be on the bottom, like socially on the bottom from the get-go. But it looks like she may be on the bottom at this point. It's interesting to see, but like Venus is also like rubbing Tevin the wrong way. I think Tevin's holding all the cards. I think Tevin is untouchable at this moment in time.
And I didn't necessarily feel like Tevin was untouchable going into last week's episode, but now that Randon is gone, I don't see how you get Tevin. So, I mean, I can start off my power rankings. I don't have Tevin at 1, but I have him very high up there.
I do too, yeah.
Because like with Tevin, you're not going to get Hunter to turn on him. That's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Soda probably would be turned on by Tevin before she would turn on Tevin. Venus is talking about wanting to get rid of Hunter or somebody like that first. And I don't know where Liz's mind is at in terms of the strategy of who she wants to put out of the game. But what I do know is Tevin is not the name coming up from any of them. So I think that Tevin is very safe over there. Whereas last week, I actually did feel like Tevin and Soda were in a little bit of trouble because Randon and Venus, if they were able to find that idol, could have turned around and voted Soda out of the game or voted Tevin or tried to pull a blindside in that way or used an idol or did something. This week, Tevin is very clearly either he's in everyone's top 3 right now. And if you're in everyone's top 3 on a 5-person tribe, no matter which way the vote breaks, you're in the right side of that top 5. So I think that Tevin's spot is way safer this week than last week. And I think he probably benefited the most from the Randon medevac. Now, one other thing I want to bring up, he was talking about how he could have given his advantage to Venus. And Jeff Probst said in his exit, in one of his interviews with Dalton Ross, obviously Jeff Probst is an X thing, but in one of his interviews with Dalton Ross, he said that could have been given, but it had to be given before Randon was officially pulled from the game. Now, Randon's not allowed to walk off. So the only way he could have done it is if he would have said, Venus, I'm giving you this, which obviously would have been terrible for Venus's game. So how is that? What do you think is going to end up happening? Do you think he's hinted to Venus where the idol clue was, and she's now going to go look in the same place and it will be there? What are you thinking with this?
I think he told her where the box is. I don't know if she has, because I'm trying to remember how did Tiffany's work, right? Like did she have to go back to where the box was?
She did, yeah.
And then what? There was an additional note there?
She unlocked the box or something, and then there was, it said dig here after you lose your next. She went in there. I think there was another scroll, and it said you have to unsolve this clue, or solve this clue, and then go find it. And she had to go find it over on the rocks. So I'm thinking that the box is going to be in the same place because Randon didn't technically solve the clues. So if he told Venus where that is, we could almost start episode number 4 by saying Venus is going to find that. If Nami loses, now it's on Venus to go find the right clues to solve this puzzle, and she's going to be good.
Yeah, I think so. Like when in my season, when Bruce found his idol, like I never heard anything about like his was hidden under the shelter. Like if any one of us found that, I think if we come into possession of it first, it's whoever finds it, right? Yeah. Only the person who pulls the beware advantage loses their vote, but they get the information on how to achieve the idol. I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong on these rules, but yeah, I think Venus, there's a potential for Venus to still get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that obviously we don't know the conversations Randon and Venus had, but if Randon's exit press is telling us anything, it's that Venus should know where the box is. She should go over. Yeah. They're probably going to re-hide the clue that they gave to Randon because, they're not just going to have an empty box there for nobody.
Right.
And even if they don't, once they lose, she's going to go to that spot and look for it anyway. Yeah. Now, the question will be, is anybody else going to be able to find it while they're looking? Because obviously this is something that has been found by Jem, has been found by Tiffany, it's been found by Randon. You'd have to think that on the Orange Tribe, somebody else could accidentally walk over there and say, I'm going to look right here. And I found the clue. Will they re-hide that clue above it, or will they not re-hide that?
Yeah. Now I'm thinking to even expand off what you're saying right now. Now I'm thinking like in the commercial for the shot next week, you have Olive Seaga like looking in the hole. Do they find the box and just put it in camp? And they're like, oh, well, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And would a note magically appear on the box? Like once they return from a challenge, they lose. If they just put it like flop in the middle of camp.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's looking like. They found the box. I don't know. Now we're getting into next week, but like.
So wait, I missed this. So you're saying the whole Seaga tribe found the box?
I don't know if they found the box, but it looks like they're looking into a hole where the box was. So either Jem moved it or they found the box.
Well, yeah, because Jem threw her box. I thought this was weird.
Did she throw her box?
After she found her box, she threw it under brush somewhere else. And it didn't look well hidden at all.
Well, that's not good.
No, and so she didn't rebury it or anything. It looked like she just kind of put it and then she was putting leaves and stuff around it and whatever. But if somebody comes across that, or if they come across the hole, now the whole tribe's going to be looking for that. And that might actually put a target on Jem's back.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see someone find the box with zero context.
That would be funny.
So they just be scouring the beat. Like they hide the box in a better spot. Yeah. No one, Jem's like, shit, where's the box?
Carrying it around.
Scouring the island for a key.
Yeah. Yeah. That you have no idea that you're not going to be able to find because the clue hasn't even been revealed yet. I mean, I'm sure the key is hidden, but there is no clue to tell you where to go find that key.
Yeah. If I found that, I'm running around the island looking for a key.
Yeah.
But that's going to be interesting to see. The original, I remember seeing it in episode 1 and I was like, whatever. I don't really care about the idol twist this season. And now it's kind of there's a couple interesting implications to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's Don't Run Off. I saw a promo recently about Jem saying she's sending the tribe on a wild goose chase, and I think it's related to the advantage.
That's probably
Jake just
it.
made the whoa face for anybody who's only listening and not watching the actual thing. He made the whoa face. I wish you could have been on last week's podcast when Will put Randon at spot 5, and I was like, really? I wish you could have been there to go, whoa, we need that. We need that really bad.
Oh, I would have. Yeah, maybe not spot 5, but I mean, definitely top 10.
I mean, I had him in the top
last
10
week.
as well, but 5 just felt high.
I would have lost a lot of points on Randon last week. I would have put him high.
Yeah. So I wanted
to whoa, sorry. Whoa.
There it is. Whoa. What do you got there, huh? What is that?
Just a little St. Patrick's Day special.
It's a little apple juice. That's what it looked like.
Little apple juice. Sorry, is that? Yeah, it's apple juice, kids.
Yeah, no, you do whatever you want. We had Kellen back after Ghost Island. Kellen Bechtold was on here doing her tell-all, and she was drinking wine, man. And an hour into that podcast, it turns into the real Kellen thoughts. Okay, everybody, if you want to go check that one out, that's the moment to tune in. I remember that was when her and Bradley were dating, and Bradley was texting me. He's like, "Here comes Kellen. Here she comes." So maybe Jake's real opinions, if you all stick around for the next hour or so, you're going to start to hear the real Jake start popping out here. But for any of our patrons who are playing the Power Rankings game, I know some of you forgot to submit your Power Rankings last week. Some of you forgot to submit them episode 1. Make sure you're emailing us your Power Rankings every week, survivorspecialist@gmail.com. It's specialist with an S at the end. When I say specialist and specialist, it sounds like the exact same word. And that's the benefit of living in the Northeast, as Jake knows, is some words just run together. But anyway, so make sure you're emailing that to us so we can get them in every single week. Right now, me and Adam/Cassidy, which is now the Jake team, both have 27 points. Will only has 22. The leader out of all of our patrons currently has 32 points, and that's Logan D'Souza. And then we have a couple people with 30. So look, even if you're behind, you get a random one like this, start taking some chances. You might be able to make up some ground. So make sure you tune in or you get your Power Rankings in. If you want to be a patron, patreon.com/specialist. Like this video, we're 27 minutes in. We're finally going to start Power Ranking. It's everybody's favorite part of the day. Jake just took a swig. He's ready to start ranking. So I'm going to open it up to you first, Jake. Who do you have at number 1?
I have Charlie first. I don't think Charlie's going anywhere. He might not be everyone's number 1, but he's my number 1. So
he's your number 1. I'm shocked that the guy from Manchester by the Sea is your number 1, Jake. Come on.
Why not? He's a law student right now. He's a he's the baby lawyer, but he's clearly well insulated on that tribe. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's in good with the women. I think him and Ben are tight based on them doing that opening puzzle. I don't see it. And then he just beast mode the challenge. He just be cute. I know Charlie's a D1 athlete with running as well. He was a runner at Harvard or whatever, but you're not really throwing anything and running. So, but he beast moded that and he beat Q. I would have bet money that Q could beat him at that, and he pulled it out.
Yeah. No, he had tweeted out Can runners ball or something like that. Find out tonight at 8. And it was him talking. I mean, as somebody who ran at Miami, I was pretty good at those games too, because the benefit we had was if you could just learn how to shoot, you were faster than everybody else because you just run up and down the court and that would piss everybody off. So it seems like what Charlie probably did is he realized, okay, I'm faster. I don't necessarily have to have the best jump shot, but as long as I can outrun them, I just got to be able to make the layups, right? That's the big one.
Right.
Got to be able to make the layups. So good on Charlie. Good on him making runners look like they're actual athletes. That's always a plus because some of us are not. And that really pumped me up. And I also liked Q's confessional about, well, nobody else was, that other guy wasn't practicing the challenge beforehand either. And then it was no, Hunter actually was practicing the challenge beforehand. Hunter was ready to roll. So
I think Charlie's not going anywhere. I full faith in the guy.
Why do you feel like he has fit in so well? Because I remember when the audition tapes were coming out, when Survivor was putting those out beforehand, a lot of people were making fun of Charlie because his video was so over the top with the law school stuff, the Harvard stuff. He just seemed like a ridiculous character, but it seems like he really knew how to play that up to get on the show. Why do you think it's working so well, though, with this group of 5 people he has?
I mean, Charlie's clearly I think the interesting thing about Charlie in terms of casting is that he's clearly a quirky guy, but you got the dichotomy of, he went to undergrad at Harvard. He's a BC law student right now. So, I mean, there's clearly there's certain things that you would associate with that, but I think Charlie also has a self-awareness, and then it's this whole kind of one of these top elite law students just being juxtaposed against. He's a little bit quirky. He's a little bit nerdy, but he's also self-aware of the preconceived notions people are going to have about him. So I think, and clearly they're using him as a narrator as well, a lot. So I think not only that good for getting cast, but also like I think he does a good job at figuring out these things. How am I coming across to people? Where are those relationship points where, you know, I might not know Metallica, but I'm a big music guy like Ben, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It looks like he's talking about all like what Harry Potter and Star Wars and probably like getting in close with Mo, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's just been doing very like you. I think we have seen a conversation happen with. Is there anyone else on the season other than the people at Yanu because they've been to Tribal, where that has had a conversation on screen with every single person on the beach, like out of Nami, like even Tevin, like we haven't seen him talk to every single person. I don't think
we've seen him talk to Venus, have we?
Yeah, I don't think we saw him really speak to Randon.
Yeah,
like when Randon was there, but like Charlie's just clearly well insulated. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed with him. And I mean, I know he's 26. People were acting like he was a baby coming into it. 26 really isn't that young by Survivor standards. It just seemed like people thought he was going to be, because it's Manchester by the Sea, because he's going to Harvard Law, because he's a Division I runner. I think there was like this stereotype going on with him where it was, oh God, this is going to be just like the out of touch young guy who's just been spoiled his life. And that's not coming across at all.
Not at all. But that's why I think he's cast, is because it's like, you look at him on paper and your initial reaction might be this, but spend 5 minutes, it's going to change. And I think that's what's engaging about him, but also probably what's engaging his tribe mates about him and making him so well insulated.
Yeah. He has the most confessionals of anybody not on Yanu. So, you know, take that for what you will, but still, he's the leading confessional getter of anybody not on the Yanu tribe. I'm actually, Will was giving me a hard time last week because I met Ben. So he's like, oh, of course you're going to put him at number one. So I had said to him, I'm going to put a 3-letter name at number one. And can you guess who? And he said Ben. And of course it was Ben. Doing a 3-letter name again, but I'm going Liz. I am going Liz.
Liz at number one.
I'm putting Liz at number one. And here's the reason why. With how that tribe is shaking up right now, and like you said, with the Soda Gata Goda, and now you got Venus, who doesn't have Randon to protect her, and you have Tevin up there. Liz is somebody where I actually think Liz is going to end up in the swing position on this tribe. I could see, and maybe there won't even be a swing. Maybe Soda or Venus will just be the easy boot. But I feel like if there is a 3-2 split, let's say Tevin and Soda or Tevin and Hunter decide to go one way and then Venus and Soda try to go another, because we are seeing Soda be a little bit more receptive to the things that Venus is saying. Let's say there's that split. Liz is the one in the middle. I don't think, and you've played the game, Jake. If somebody comes out talking about, I have sold 4 different businesses, I have all this money, I'm awesome, I'm great, I'm this. Do you want to vote that person out of the game? Or do you want to go as far in the game with that person as humanly possible? Because if you sit next to them, you feel like there's no way you're losing to them.
I think, like if you meet that person at the merge, you want to bring them as far as possible, right? But I mean, in terms of like early on, I think cohesion is huge. And as long as she's not the first name, which it's looking like she's not, I wouldn't put her at number one, but she's high for me.
And the other thing I'll say about why I have her number one is because I still think Nami has the least amount of chance of losing.
I agree.
And so that's what I keep going back to. I don't think Siga's going to go to a tribal in the pre-merge, because I feel like based on what we saw last week and based on the fact that Jem said, if you don't have to use this, you'll get further instructions at the merge. Okay. So it feels like that was thrown in there, and I'm saying to myself, that's the first time we heard that. A lot of people in the chat were bringing that up, and I said, okay, maybe that's trying to tell us something about the Siga tribe not losing. But even in the off chance that but Nami is so strong. They're so strong. Losing Randon maybe will hurt them, because they were pretty far behind in that challenge prior to Hunter knocking down all those shots. But as long as they have Hunter, I'm really not concerned for them. Maybe I should be. But either way, even if they lose, it's not Liz. I just don't see it being. Nobody has said Liz needs to go. They've said Liz is out of touch. Liz, I don't know what her strategy is. But nobody has said Liz is the person who needs to go home. That has been said about Hunter. That's been said about Venus. That's been said about Soda. That has not been said about Liz, and I don't think it's been said about Tevin. So I got to feel the best about them.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about Liz is that, like, obviously, like the first 2 episodes, not a kind of like the dodo music playing, where she's like, "Oh, I'm on 300 podcasts," or like whatever she said, or "I'm making so much money." But seeing the confessionals from her today, with her in the way that she spoke to Banu, it made me feel a million times better. And that's not even including like the exit interviews where Brandon said like she was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mean, it wasn't Liz's entire coming out story today, but like it was. I mean, last week I would have put her like bottom half. Now she's definitely top half.
Yeah, last week I had her at spot 8, so right in the middle. Out of 16, I had her 8. This week I'm putting her at 1 because I'm just sitting here saying that tribe has no reason to get rid of her. And I feel like she is going to keep saying these things, but she's not going to ruffle feathers in the way that is going to say, you know what, we just got to get rid of this person. I can't stand him anymore or anything like that. I feel like she's almost a caricature of that personality, and that's working in her favor.
Yeah. I mean, like, what does she do exactly?
No idea. No idea.
Like,
she's like an email. She teaches people how to send emails and make money off of that, which like I'm all about. I'd love to be able to send emails and make money. You know, but I like talking to you too, Jake. So, you know,
I like talking to you too, buddy. But
thanks.
she sells her art of communication. So it's not like she's a zero when it comes to that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm excited to see more from her, especially after this week.
Yeah. I'll do my number 2 real quick too, because look, I have to be difficult because I can't just keep putting the same person at number 1 because that gets stupid and boring and whatever. Even though last week it was Ben, but everybody else had Tiffany at 1. I'm going to put Tiffany at 2. Tiffany has the idol, even though she's on the Anu tribe, which could lose. I feel like it's going to be hard for them to pull one on her. And last week, Q was talking about pulling one on Kenzie, and Kenzie was talking about pulling one on, you know, potentially Q or Banu or whatever. Nobody's talking about pulling one on Tiffany. I feel like Tiffany, you were talking about Charlie is insulated. Tiffany's insulated. Yeah. I love her spot, so I have her at 2.
I'd agree with that. Like, she's just, I mean, she's sitting on an idol. I mean, Q and Kenzie clearly both want to be with her. Mm-hmm. And they clearly, like, Kenzie doesn't seem like she's trying to pull Q as much. Q's clearly not trying to pull Kenzie as much. Mm-hmm. Tiff is fine. And, like, there's not even just the 3 of them. Like, Banu's there as well. Like, so he can't play. Like, he's still not going to be able to play his shot in the dark, right?
No, he can't play a shot in the dark because he doesn't have a vote at the next tribal council. So even though they survive this one, Banu will not have a vote at the next tribal council he goes to. So Q and Kenzie would both need to vote for Tiffany, and Tiffany would have to not play her idol for Tiffany to go home. And I just don't see that happening.
There's no way, shape, or form that happens. I don't have her at number 2, but yeah, she's up there.
Because then the other thing to think about is, the other thing with her is, we haven't actually seen her talking to Banu. We've seen Kenzie and Q both doing most of the conversating with Banu. But Banu's not somebody who can have the conversation with Kenzie, have the conversation with Q, and convince them both, I don't have a vote this week, but can you both vote for Tiffany and get her out of the game and blindside her? There's no way that's happening.
Zero. Like, even if it was like, I don't know, throw in another name.
Those are the only 4.
So let's say there's a tribe swap next week, circa 44. And Banu goes to another tribe. No one comes in with a new idol, but take your pick of the rest of the cast who's not on Yanu. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to have a difficult time being like, okay, Q and Kenzie, work together. Let's vote out Tiff. I think that would be a really difficult thing to do as well. Even if someone maybe who some would say has a slightly better social game than Banu.
Do we have any indicator of a tribe swap this season? We don't, right?
It doesn't look like it. Every clip for next week, it looks like everyone was still in the same colors.
I wonder if because of this tribe, now we have had back-to-back seasons of Lulu and Yanu. I wonder if they'll say we need to do tribe swaps a little bit earlier if we're going to keep doing the 3 tribe start, or if potentially they'll stop doing 3 tribe starts, because that's back-to-back seasons where you've lost a lot of good characters really early too. Now I know, granted, like we did have 2 quitters from Lulu, so that might make people say, oh, it's not as good. But like Brandon was a good soundbite, and we lost
Sabaya.
Sabaya, thank you.
Sabaya.
Sabaya was amazing. I mean, Sabaya was leading the season in confessionals when she went home. So you're losing a lot of really good deep game potential characters. Not saying that the people who then went deep weren't good, but do they really want to just see one tribe keep getting decimated? Because this is 2 years in a row. And Yanu, we were talking about this before we went live, so you can jump in here. Yanu does not look like the tribe that should be getting their asses beat.
Not at all. Like, that's, shocking, right? Like, I mean, obviously, Jelinski was how tall is Jelinski? Like 6'4" or something?
4, yeah, something. I think he was
Like
6.
they're clearly height wise, I think they're the tallest tribe, like starting out, right? But like, the men all seem strong on their tribe. The women clearly are strong on their tribe. Like, I mean, if you put the Yanu women up against Siga or Nami's women, like just if they're just pushing a rock, right? Like I don't want to say it like, we get in if they're just, Red Rover, not Red Rover, tug of war between Yanu women, Nami women, Siga women. I think Yanu women are winning every time. But clearly that's not what happened, and Survivor's more complicated than that. But I do think like, you don't want to make the swaps predictable. Like, I mean, I think we all thought a swap was coming on our season. We're like, 44, because we had just seen when we left for 45, like we saw the Demi swap on 44, or the what do you even call that? You know what I mean? So we were all predicting
like one
it.
person left and went.
Yeah. So we all predict. I think everyone was predicting it. Like we were all saying it early. It's like there's going to be just a full on swap. And as soon as we saw the tree mail that day, we were like, "This is probably what it is."
And where was your swap at 15?
Yeah, 3 went. So 15, 3 tribes at 5.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we're at this week. So if they don't do it this week, we're probably not going to get a swap unless they're going to go to 2 of 7 at 14, which would be crazy because they like to do Mergatory at 13.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like wouldn't it be so interesting right now if or have one more vote out, right? And then swap to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then swap to 2. What would that be? 2 tribes of 7?
Yeah.
That would be so interesting. And then what is it? Then do 2, get rid of Mergatory, do 2 vote outs at 2 teams of 7, and then have just a normal merge. Great.
You just said the magic word, get rid of Mergatory. And that it seems like right now Survivor's so married to Mergatory that because of that, it's messing up the ability to be able to play around with the swaps and scenarios in the pre-merge portion of the game. The same thing as when Randon gets medevac, they can't have Yanu then go to Tribal Council because they need the Mergatory to happen when the Mergatory needs to happen. I'm hoping that they're going to be a little bit more adaptable with that because they always talk about they don't want to be too predictable. That is predictable at this point.
Wouldn't Mergatory be so much more interesting if they didn't do it every season?
Yes.
Like, I don't think it's bad as a concept, right? Like, if you merged, right? Because when we merged, the challenge was the next day. So we got almost a full 24 hours of just hanging out with all these new people. And how cool would it be if the players didn't know if it was a Mergatory-like situation or an individual challenge-like situation till they showed up at the challenge? I think that would be pretty cool, personally.
Yeah. No, I totally agree because I feel like at this point, everybody just knows it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Maybe at 13, maybe at 12. I think those are the only 2 numbers it's been around. But let's just, hey, season 47, they come out and they're not expecting it, or they're expecting it because they've seen this and then it doesn't happen. And then 48, it happens. And now if you're on season 49, you're saying, I don't know what's going to happen. But I will say this, By the time 50 comes, if 50 is a Legends type season, a returning players type season, whatever 50 is going to become, Mergatory can't be happening at the same point that it happened from season 41 all the way to season 49. That just cannot be the case anymore. It's too long of a time.
I think there needs to be an extra pre-merge vote, and then just get rid of I don't know. We've seen it for probably 6 seasons now, and I think if you look at people like who have been the Mergatory boots, you've had Sydney. Sydney was great TV. I feel like Lydia could have given more. It's honestly kind of predictable. It's like who's the least connected person typically goes. Like it's pretty formulaic. I remember Josh was pretty unconnected. I mean, Ellie was just thrown out there by Gabler, and then
Dwight went home without making the merge too. And then it was Jay Maya, and then it was Sifu who ended up missing the actual jury portion of the game because they went that route at Final 12.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Mergatory has become such a heated topic that people are forgetting to talk about if they like Final 4 fire making or not. So yeah. Jake, do you like
stop talking about Final 4 fire making. It's here to stay.
Did you like
Mergatory?
Did you like Final 4 fire making? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't. Did anyone have? I mean, if I said anything negative about it over a year ago, I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't listening.
Yeah, you were just being stupid. I mean, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in Survivor.
It's the greatest thing that ever happened to Survivor, dude. Immunity idols, fire making challenge. Come on, best ever. No, but it's just one of those things that doesn't need to be here every season. It's good. I think it could be good if it popped up even every other season. Or if you're going to have it once in a cycle, it's like, okay, either the odd or the even season's going to get it. We don't know. So you might have it 2 seasons in a row. You might have it 2 seasons off in a row. Who knows?
And I was going to say this too. I think for as much, and look, I think what Jeff said in Rob's interview was great. If anybody hasn't listened to the Rob Cesternino interview with Jeff, it's phenomenal. Like, let's just be real.
It's good.
But I also think that for somebody who is so committed to keeping all the players on their toes, because he is, and he legitimately wants you all to be, oh, I don't know if this guy, blah, blah. You can predict Mergatory and you can predict Final Four fire making. Those have been there for so many seasons now. Why aren't we trying to mix up that concept? You can predict Final Three. That's also something that has been there forever. And in the new era, you can predict the 3-charge start. So why isn't that changing? Like, why aren't we changing those things, but we're willing to change? Oh, you might lose your vote for this. You're going on this journey. You're going to do this. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of mixing up of everything else as well. And that will make more compelling TV. And it'll leave people not being as frustrated, because guess what? Everybody used to get frustrated by everything. I mean, even in the early days of Survivor, everybody gets frustrated with everything. But when you don't have something for a couple seasons, now everybody goes, oh, I wish we had that back. And then you bring it back, as long as you don't abuse it, like returning players, then people are super into it when it comes back, because it's like, oh, thank God, this is what could have been. Exile Island was that way. It was so exciting when Exile Island actually like started to come back in ways. So I think that you hit the nail on the head. We need to see it and then not see it and then see it and then not see it. But it's coming this season. And it is the reason why I think the pre-merge has become very, very formulaic. Very formulaic.
Yeah, I just want to point it out real quick. We have 90 minutes. Let's get Exile Island back for a season. That would be perfect for 90 minutes. You don't need extra advantages or something. It just shows a couple people on Exile Island. Great. Yep. They're gone for a night. I mean, there's only 26 days, so it's probably tougher to do Exile Island, but still. Great twist.
I love Exile Island, man. I agree with you 100%. Okay, I'm going to throw up this comment real quick, and then we're 46. We got 90 minutes too, Jake, I guess. Chris Wood here. Love your video. Shout out for Chris, watching all the way from a remote Scottish island called Shetland. So there you go. Probably already had his St. Patrick's Day. Probably hammered, maybe. Chris Wood is my sister's name. So hello. And if that's my sister who's trolling me, well done. I don't think you know that Shetland is a place. So that's good too, Chris. I'm proud of you for knowing that, if that's you. If you're still watching, we're 47 minutes in. Please like the video. Like the video, like the video, like the video. It helps. Goes a long way. Whenever I beg, we actually get likes. So I'm going to keep begging. So please like the video, like the video. Jake, you've only named one person in your ranking.
47 minutes in. Here's my number 2. I got Tevin at number 2. Tevin has the extra vote. Like Charlie, he's very, very well insulated. Even if someone like Venus wants to get him out, how are you going to do it? Because all he needs is Hunter, and he can force a tie. But I don't even think he's going to run into that situation.
Let's talk about this real quick, because I totally forgot that Tevin had the extra vote, because that happened in episode 1, and they didn't mention episode 2 or 3. So Tevin has an extra vote. Maria has an extra vote. Ben has no vote. Banu has no vote. And that's it, because at this moment, Venus technically has her vote, because she wasn't the one who found the Randon thing. So Randon's out. Now, if Venus goes and finds that, she will lose her vote. But right now, everybody else has a vote, right?
Oh, will she lose her vote?
Well, if she goes and finds the same thing Randon did, yeah. Because
but they replant the note. But if she finds the box, then no, right? Yeah.
No, if she finds the box, she'll lose her vote.
No, but the note's above the box. So, like in my mind, I think you only lose your vote if you open that note.
Oh, and she won't open the vote because she doesn't know what's in there. Oh, that's a good point. I like that. I didn't even.
Yeah, because like that was that thing. It's like when Bruce had his idol under the shelter. It's like, oh, if I find the idol, it's like Bruce might not have his vote, but I'd have the idol.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's a great point, because why go and take that if you already know what it's going to be?
Yeah.
I like that. I didn't even think about that. So Jem has an idol, and who has the idol on? Why am I drawing a blank? Tiffany has an idol.
Tiffany. And
so
then
those are all the advantages in this game right now. I don't think we're missing anything.
Maria has an extra vote as well.
Yep, I have that one down. So
you did? Okay.
Kevin and Maria both extra votes. Ben and Banu no votes. Jem and Tiffany both have idols.
Yeah.
I have Tevin at number 3, and I talked about how I felt good about Tevin already. I don't think they're going to turn on him here. I feel like him and Liz are in the best positions. Hunter's name's been thrown out there. Soda's name's been thrown out there. Venus's name has been thrown out there. Tevin's name has not been thrown out there. There's no way they're giving that monologue and voting him out 4th. And I also don't think that I don't think Liz is in any trouble. I've already talked about that. So Hunter, they're probably going to want to keep around because they don't want to start going on like a losing streak here. but I will put Tevin at 3. And then I'm just going to start naming Siga players for the next little bit here. So everybody bear with me as I just ignore the fact that Yanu and Nami exist now that I've named 3 players from those tribes. So I'm not going to do it right now, Jake.
All right.
Yeah. No.
So quick.
You're sitting there like, really? You're just going to
I was like, I thought you were going to like list the, okay. No, but interesting Nami question real quick, Phil. I want to run this by you. If the votes are on Venus, which they may not be, and she plays that idol, who's gone?
Hunter, Venus right? will go after either Hunter or Soda.
Yeah.
Hunter because she had the confessional or the statement last week of because I'm not blind or whatever she said to Randon. So it was so good. And then if she's hurt by Soda because Soda might actually be playing too close to her, but then being a little fake about it. And if Venus feels that, then she'll vote out Venus. But it's not going to be Liz and it's not going to be Tevin.
Yeah. That's my number 2. Tevin. Okay. Tevin's not going anywhere.
And I have him at 3. So then who do you have at 3?
Our 2 and 3 are swapped, so I got Tiff at 3.
Okay.
Clearly well insulated. She's not going anywhere. Should we just move on to 4?
Yeah, we can move on to 4. Who do you got?
All right. I got Hunter at 4. I don't think Hunter's going anywhere. After you made the Liz argument, like I got Liz a little lower. I might switch Liz and Hunter, but like I don't think Hunter's going anywhere either. Like he hasn't gotten the most screen time out of everybody, but like he got a good moment this week. I mean, did it ever show who came up with the idea to do like the 1-2 Tevin Hunter pullover on the wheel?
I don't think they showed the idea, but that was a great move, man. That was
so cool.
Just all momentum. Like, that's all it is.
I know. That's the move. Anyone who does that challenge now, that's the move.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Hunter, clearly a nice guy, clearly getting along with people as well. Like you also heard Liz say this week, oh, Hunter's not going anywhere. I love Hunter. You know? Like I don't think he's going anywhere. Clearly a smart guy. Maybe not the most wackadoo of what did Badu call himself this week?
Wackadoodles win. That's it.
Yeah, he's clearly not the biggest wackadoodle out there, but like, you know, he's doing well. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, Hunter's one of the most normal people that they've cast in a while, Jake. And I'm saying that to your face as you sit here. He is like, he feels so, he's a teacher who could have been a doctor who likes to build survivor challenges because like that's how he grew up. And now he's from Mississippi. He just feels like a very old school. He should have been on Guatemala casting choice.
I mean, watching that, he is kind of Guatemala coded. I see that. But he, I mean, that whole thing, like him showing us around the house, looking at all the puzzles and the challenges that he's built, it's like, Jesus Christ, Carson, hold my chainsaw. You know what I mean? Like, damn, that's a lot.
Carson has a 3D printer, but Hunter knows how to build things. Like,
it's really impressive, and clearly he's not rubbing people the wrong way. I mean, I think the thing with Venus, it's more. I mean, even she says it. Like Hunter's clearly a nice guy. Like something that I said preseason. And I said this to Austin as well. It's like Hunter is very Austin coded to me, where it's like clearly they're both intelligent individuals. Clearly they're very physical individuals, but they're not someone who's clearly they're both social guys, but neither one of them are off-putting. Like I don't see a reason to get Hunter out right now. Like the fact that Venus is pegging like all the threats that Hunter is bringing, all the red flags of as a player that Hunter's bringing to the game, like as being a threat, is very impressive on Venus's part, in my opinion.
And I also think that Hunter becomes a very easy guy to get rid of at the merge. You hit a merge. It's kind of like how you all were with Caleb, where Caleb was going to be the target for a while because it's like, yeah, man, we got to get Caleb out of this game. He's a salesman. He's good at talking to people. He's threatening from a physical standpoint. We need him out. And that's what it feels like with Hunter here. Venus is already laying out every reason why Hunter won't sit at Final 3. It's not going to be all that hard to convince people to vote him out. And because of the way challenges are run nowadays, he's not going to be winning the way Colby and Brad Culpepper and stuff, and Chrissy even back during season 30, season 35, the way they would win.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the 26-day game, things can move so fast that, like, if you just get in the good group, like, I mean, not only is Austin an amazing player, like he is, but just having that solid group that's just, you know, momentum kind of, I think, can take you a far way. And so if he can have himself insulated at the beginning of that merge, Hunter could go very far.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Also, you and Austin did that video, huh? That
Which
Q&A.
way?
The
Oh
Q&A.
yeah, we did a Q&A.
You
Yeah.
and
That
Drew
was
was
me,
in there
Austin, and
too.
Drew. Yeah.
Yeah. If
That was a
anybody
good
hasn't
time.
checked that one out, there's my plug for it. So there you go. Austin, I'm
Austin's
on your
YouTube
TikTok now
channel.
too. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
very, very funny video. I enjoyed that. Okay. I'm going to do my number 4. And like I said, I'm just going to start naming people who wear green because it's St. Patrick's Day and it's time to honor them. So I won't go too many in a spurt here, but I think the first 2 are pretty obvious. And that's Jem and Charlie. Okay. Charlie, you already talked about, you had him at number 1. He's obviously your guy, but Jem is going to be my number 4. Charlie's going to be my number 5. Jem has the idol, and they showed us Jem getting the idol. Jem has it. Jem doesn't feel like anybody wants to look at her as a person who's a threat to in this game. And maybe if she's sending her tribe on a goose chase, maybe that'll piss some people off. Maybe that'll get her voted out of the game. But they also have to realize that they're being sent on a goose chase by her. Anybody who has an idol this early in the game on this small of a tribe, I generally like where they're at. I also feel like we've heard enough about the Charlie's Angels type thing that why would it turn on her? And if it is going to turn on anybody, it feels like it would be Mariah, not to be confused with Maria. So, yeah, I think that Jem is the safest from that tribe, and I think Charlie is second because if they are going to keep showing Charlie talk about all of the strategic and social things he's doing, only for him to get voted out, and they never gave him the dodo music or anything, I am so confused to what the hell I just watched for 3 episodes. So I think Charlie and I think Jem are super, super safe. You had mentioned the music thing earlier, Jake. Do you have a band or something that you would have done?
No, I listened to a bunch of different stuff. Like I couldn't even name a full album from probably anyone, right? Like I listened to a bunch of different stuff like here and there. Unless it's J Maya. I could probably name a full J Maya album.
But J Maya doesn't have 108 songs, does she?
J Maya doesn't have 108 songs, but she has some good stuff. Check her out on Spotify. But yeah, no, that's not my fault. I listen to too much of different stuff. Kind of like Ben. I'm not going to listen to the stuff that isn't that good. And not all their songs are good. No one has it. Not even Taylor Swift. Charlie would probably disagree with that. Sorry, buddy.
I've gone back because Will asked me that afterwards, and I was like, well, I like Pink Floyd. That's my favorite. I could probably name all their songs, but I don't know if they have enough there. And then I had said also like, Lana Del Rey, Julian Baker. Those are people I listen to. But then I started re-listening to The National, and I realized that they've been around since 2001. And when I was living in LA, that was the only band I listened to because they're nice and moody and depressing. And I feel like driving around LA when you're working like 14-hour days, that's the vibe. And so I feel like I'm prepping for Survivor now by rather than getting in physical shape or studying up on the game. Now it's, can I name every song by The National? Because then I would be prepared to get on a tribe with somebody and like rub their nose in the dirt while I beat the crap out of them naming songs by a band. So that's where I'm at right now.
Now, does this increase Charlie's threat level? Like, is Charlie more of a threat because of the music battle? Clearly, he won a challenge that wasn't an official Survivor challenge, but nevertheless, it was a challenge.
I mean, are you threatened by Swifties? That's what that comes down to. If you're threatened by Swifties, his threat level is the highest it's ever been. If you're not, then you're looking at him saying, man, this guy's cute. Hopefully he just names Taylor Swift songs at the final 3 because he ain't getting any votes.
We need who's the most likely to not like be a Swiftie on what's it, Sega? Tim? We got to hear from Tim on this. How intimidated is Tim?
How intimidated is Tim? We need Tim. I need Tim right now to tell me how threatened he is by Charlie and his Swiftie knowledge. And then I look at the other side, and I'm going strictly based off of the fact that if you're doing 300 podcasts, you have no time to listen to music. And I'm saying Liz is going to hear him start naming Swiftie songs, and she's going to say, this guy's got to go. Like, I need him out of this game immediately because he's stealing, like, my vibe of being kind of like the weird guy. I don't need that on this tribe.
So, oh my God. I love that bit. That bit was so good.
You. Yeah, that was great. I really appreciated that they kept that in, even if, again, Survivor fans are never happy. So we complained, but that's what happens. Where are you going with your number 5?
My number 5. My number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have Liz at number 5. We talked pretty extensively about Liz, but I do have a different one for my number 6. So I think we can just move on to number 6.
Go ahead.
We talked pretty extensively about Liz. I have Maria. I don't think Maria's going anywhere. I think after Charlie, she's the second most insulated person. I know. I mean, Jem's coming soon, but Jem is. I think Maria's good with the girls. She has the extra vote. She has the parent thing with Tim. Who's bringing up Maria? And like Maria's clearly a physical player. Like looking at the first challenge, that first day, those blocks are heavy. That's solid wood. Like, I mean, it's hollow on the inside, but they're heavy. You know, they're very heavy and pretty.
That is not the definition of solid, then, Jake. I'm just telling you right now.
Well, no, it's solid flat wood in a cube shape, leaving a hollow center, but they're still wicked heavy. So she's really impressive, and I don't think she's going anywhere. I like her relationship with Charlie. Like, I mean, Phil and I were kind of talking a little bit before the podcast. I'm a huge Philippines fan. That was like the first season I seriously watched. Hopefully they can pull off the Malcolm and Denise thing, you know? And who wins at the end of Malcolm and Denise?
Yeah. You want it to be Malcolm, though, don't you? In your heart of hearts, you want.
I mean, if I'm Malcolm, then yeah. If
Charlie is Malcolm here, you want it to be.
Of course.
Yeah. I have the same number 6 as you. I have Maria as well. Like I said, I'm trying not to name all of these players just in a row because then at my 7, I'm going to have Ben. So boom, there's my top 4. And then I'll take a break from naming nobody but the Green Tribe. There's nothing that makes Ben drop from 1 to 7 based on what I saw last week. In fact, I should be even more confident in Ben because Ben had the most confessionals on that tribe last week. He had 6 of them. We got the journey. That also helped and added to
more than Jem?
Yeah, Jem had the Jake syndrome where she barely got any credit for having confessional count, but she had like a 7-minute confessional. So that's like your season, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
You barely had confessionals. You ended up out of the final 5. I think you had the lowest amount other than Julie. And then, though, if you turn around and you look at
the time,
you were 2nd or 3rd on the season. So it's funny how that works. And I'm glad that somebody is taking so much time out of their day to time confessionals. So Jem's was a really long confessional, whereas Ben's were broken up so much. So maybe I should be a little bit more confident in Ben. But I'm going to put Maria at 6, Ben at 7. I don't think either one of them are in danger. I'm not at a point right now where I think anybody there is in trouble. But because we've seen so little of Siga, let's mix this up. Let's bounce around between who I'm more confident and who I'm not. Out of all of them, though, Maria's winning chances did take a bit of a hit in my book because she didn't get a confessional last week. And I know that's not the end-all be-all, but on your season, the final 7 had a confessional in every single episode. That's the only 90-minute season we have to base anything off of. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but it definitely worries me a little bit for Maria, for Tim, for Tevin, and for Soda, as they did not get confessionals last week, which I was really surprised at with 3 of those 4. Tim, I wasn't shocked because he hadn't been built up as a major character on the season. But the other 3, I was very surprised by.
I wouldn't be concerned about it as much from Siga, just because. So who got 0 confessionals on Siga? Maria and Tim.
Yeah, Mariah.
Since it was only something 4 days ago, and it was something they entirely could not be privy to. Like, I think that puts them in a little better spot versus like Soda and Tevin. It's like, the guy was medically evacuated off their tribe. We heard about the greatness of Hunter. There's nothing about, like, you know what I mean? Like, where was their 2 cents on that? Because that was 2 events or 2 things they were both entirely privy to. So, I mean, this might be looking too far into the edit, but that was something that was like, what was that about?
Well, the only thing that worries me there, though, is that Ben did come back with the tea. He had gossip as he was yelling from the boat. And he comes back and he explains everything and he lies to all of them. And we didn't get anything from anybody else talking about how they felt about Ben's statement and if they were eating it up, if they thought he was lying. So I'm a little concerned for everybody else. And maybe I should be considering Ben the winner here. But since Will's not here for me to troll, I'll put him at 7 instead of putting him at 1. So that's all I got. And now I've named who I think are the clear top 7. I think everybody else after this, it starts to get a little bit more danger for people, even though my number 8 is pretty safe. But what do you have? What's your number 7? Who?
What's my number? I got to count where my number 7 is Jem. We talked about Jem. And Jem is clearly in a good spot. She has that idol. She has like the Charlie's Angels. Clearly Tim is looking at the girls right now, but I mean, he doesn't have the numbers. Number 1, because Ben doesn't have a vote. And number 2, Charlie's going to do what he wants. You know what I mean? And I don't think Maria she may or may not be as in bed with the whole Charlie and the girls thing as we might see, because we did see her relationship with Tim. So it's interesting. And we talked about Jem. Like, Jem's clearly going to be fine next episode, I think. But can I just go into who I have after her?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ben. I have Ben. I think Ben. I really like Ben's lie. I really like Ben's lie. Like, I mean, looking at the situation, right? If Ben thinks Banu's going to fail, the only person with the information to say that Ben is lying is likely gone.
Yep.
So, number one, great. Number two, it kind of insulates him for the next vote to be like, hey, if I might come down with an idol, you know what I mean? Like, or something, like, no one knows what could happen. So it's not like a safe vote either. Like, he might not, maybe he has a shot in the dark. Like, a lot of different things could come from Ben. It kind of creates a little bit of chaos surrounding his name that I think people, especially this early, they're not going to want to touch. So yeah. I think Ben's going to be A-okay. We did see in a secret scene, though, that I think it was Jem and Maria kind of being like, oh, Ben's not super forthcoming. That could be a concern, but I don't think that's going to be a concern for next episode, even if Siga goes to tribal.
I'm raising my hand for everybody out there so I can. Here's the thing, everybody. Here's the thing. If it's in a secret scene, it's not that important to the narrative of the season. That's just how I feel.
That's a good point. No, you're right. You're right.
They would have put it on because a lot of people were pissed that we didn't get that one, that we didn't get the thing about Randon with talking about how this was a test for Soda. We didn't get the stuff about, I think it was Tevin talking about something with Soda needing to go or something along those lines. I forget exactly what it was. But if it's not there, it's because it's not actually impacting the overall arc that needs to be told for the winner of this season or for anything that's going on. So maybe it's not actually all that impactful. Tim W. here says, good point, Phil. Appreciate that. I always like when that happens. Polka Dots wants to know if you still do cameos. That's more important.
I do still do cameos.
Cameos. There you go.
I need to do some today.
Yeah, there you go.
Later.
Yeah, I mean, he's over here. He's already celebrating St. Patrick's Day. So if you're getting a cameo from him today, congratulations. But I mean, I hear it, and it's definitely an important thing because it's still how he's being viewed. But it's interesting that it's not shown in the 90 minutes that are airing on CBS because that is where the main storyline is. So
yeah, no, that's a good point.
And I love your point about the Banu thing because if Banu goes, doesn't matter. And Liz can't say he's lying about the puzzle because Liz never did the puzzle.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you see that from Ben, and it's like you're assuming that, all right, well, if Banu doesn't go home tonight, he's going home soon. If you're predicting that Yanu's going to lose again, I like the lie. I mean, it's definitely a risk, right? Because like Banu could stay. He did stay. And Banu could tell someone if he goes on another journey or he tells someone else something else back at camp. Like, it's interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I don't think Banu's going to stay all the way to the merge. We'll see. But I don't think it's going to happen. But good on Ben for having the game to make that lie and to take that chance. And it seems like his tribe is eating it up. So it's good for him. At my number 8, I have Hunter. So nothing to report on here. You already talked about Hunter. We got a little bit more from Hunter than we got the week before. I like Hunter. I feel like he's an old school casting choice. I just wish that we got a confessional of Hunter on day 7 instead of day 1, 2, or 3. So we'll see where this, or day 0. It might have been day 0. I don't know, but we'll see where that ends up going with him in the future. So that's my right in the middle, smack in the middle. And now we start to get into the danger zone for everybody else who's.
I know this is like, you're looking at like those guys are all good. And now I think we've all said the same ones, right? Like we both have our first 8, right?
Every single person in our top 8 is the same, just in different orders.
Different orders, yeah.
And now this is when it's
like. Yeah. This is when it gets fun.
Yeah. So who do you have at number 9?
Who do I have at number 9?
Yeah. So after
Q.
Ben,
I have Q. I don't think Q's going anywhere. Like, I mean, for Yanu, other than like, how is Banu going to be able to save himself? Like, I think like. I know they try to set up like Kenzie potentially leaving, like them Q trying to do that. Tiff isn't letting go of Kenzie. Mm-hmm. Banu's not going to have a vote. So I feel like pretty good about the rest of Yanu that doesn't rhyme with Yanu.
Yeah. Telling you, I agree. But you know what concerns me? What if Tiffany and Kenzie, what if Kenzie catches wind of Q wanting to vote out Kenzie? What if Tiffany decides, you know what, I'd rather work with Kenzie? Could they vote out Q? Could they do that?
No, because here's even if that happens, right? I think what's going to happen is Kenzie's going to have to go to Tiffany and be like, Tiffany, let's get Q. And Tiffany's going to be like, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
clearly, and even you pointed out earlier in the podcast, like, Tiffany's not really talking to Banu. The people doing the field work with Banu are Kenzie and Q. And if they're voting out anyone other than Banu, it's each other. So Tiffany holds all the power. I think in terms of I'm like Yano better win the next challenge. Like, no offense to Banu at all, but it's like, it's for? How do you get out of that? It's impossible.
Especially when you don't have a vote and you can't play your shot in the dark. And here's my thing. I agree with you, and I don't have Q next, but I have him in a little bit. I feel like Q is in a fine spot this week, but if they win this week, and now you're at 14, and they lose next week, I think Q could be in a lot of trouble because now you're not desperate to keep your tribe strong because you know the Mergatory is coming next, and this could be an opportunity when he can't get Banu on his side and when he won't see it coming to just take Kenzie and Tiffany and say, bye-bye, Q. That's it. And now at 13, you're going to Mergatory anyway. You just voted out one of the most physical players in this game. So I think he's fine this week.
Yeah.
Like next week, even if, especially if Banu goes this week, then it just comes down to who does Tiffany choose. But if Banu is still there going into next week, Q could be in a little bit of trouble if that tribe loses because of the fact that you want to get rid of the stronger people right before the merge if you can.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think regardless if Yanu, let's say, so what's next week? Episode?
This week is 4, and then it's 5, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so this for episode 4. So, I mean, episode 4, let's say Banu go. I don't think Q's going this week. I think we both, like, agree on that. But, like, let's say Banu goes, like, I think Q's in a lot of trouble because then Tiff has to make a choice.
Yeah.
Like, I do, and then even if Banu stays at that point, like, what you're putting out, I think is... Yeah, it's something. And also, like, for Tiff, she has to look at who can she convince to do something, right? Mm-hmm. Who are you going to be able to get to come with you on things? Now, is she going to be able to do that with Q? She has already, but how long can she do that for? And she's going to have to make that determination. So Q is definitely more in danger for, 6? Yeah, for episodes.
No, that'd be episode 5. Episode 5.
Episode 5. Yeah. So episode 5 and 6.
5 than he is for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna throw up another comment here. Sorry, Jay, I have to keep throwing this up.
No, you're good.
Thomas McGee's calling me out. I don't usually click like on podcasts, but I did on this one because Jake's here. I also went back and liked Adams from last week. Even though Phil didn't give me a shout out, I'm not bitter. All right, now you can't be bitter because there's your shout out, Thomas McGee.
That's great. He's not bitter. Good for you.
Yeah, he's not bitter. That's good. Now go like the video.
Wonderful.
That's wonderful. Now go like the video. All right. Anyway. My number 9, I am going with. Hang on, I gotta actually look at my stuff here. I'm totally brainwashed because I don't have Q. Oh, I am going with. What is going on? Maybe I do have Q. I feel like I'm missing a name on my list right now. And
I know
that's a problem for me. All right, I'm gonna be annoying, and I'm actually gonna go with Venus because I want Venus to make it really, really far. And so I'm going to go Venus at 9 and then Q at 10. So that's where I have Q.
Okay.
But Venus, I feel like she actually is at a big advantage, even though she lost Randon. That sucks. But this feels like an opportunity such as when Neil went home in Ko-Rong, and I love making Ko-Rong references any chance I can. We had Neil go home because of medevac, and that kept Aubrey around. And that changed Aubrey's game entirely.
Yep.
And Aubrey then is, the ultimate Rob goddess. Even the Michelle earned that win. Now, you look at what happened here. Randon goes home. Venus lost seemingly her only ally. However, Venus is gaining. She has information now. She's the only one on that tribe who has any inclination of where a hidden immunity idol is, of where the clues are. If they lose, she can go find that. And also, and your season showed this, even though you weren't on that tribe. But the longer somebody stays around that people don't necessarily get along with, or that starts off on the wrong foot, you get used to them being there and you start to say, all right, we don't mind Venus so much now. Like, let's worry about somebody else who's started high for me. And now why don't you like me anymore? Such as Tevin saying to Soda, you got to go to. Like, if you're worried about that, that's a different kind of issue. And I don't think they're worried about that with Venus. Venus had the Emily situation of started so low that you can only go up. And the longer you stay around, the better chance you have of just getting in with people. And they turn to you and say, look, we really want to get rid of Soda this week. Tevin and Hunter, we're only convinced we have each other. We're not sure we can trust Liz. Do you want to be our third? And Venus goes, sure. Why not? Okay. Or she turns around and she says to Soda and Liz, they want to take you out. How do you feel about this? So I actually don't mind Venus's spot. I think she's going to be able to use this information to her advantage. She's also had, and again, I look too much at the edit. I don't care. That's what this podcast has always been. She has had those confessionals, man, of I just can't wait to get rid of everybody else. So when I'm sitting at Final 3, I can tell them, screw you, and this, that, and whatever. She's had that. She's had the redemption arc type confessionals. They're throwing them in there when her tribe's not losing. She has 13 confessionals. Her, Ben, and Charlie are the only people left in the game who have more than 10 confessionals that aren't on Yanu. That's crazy. She has more than Maria. She has more than Jem. She has more than Soda and Tevin. Why are we seeing this if her tribe's not losing? And obviously, they could have just easily made this. Randon went home, and Venus is a non-factor. So, Randon's gone. We had one confessional from Venus saying, oh, that sucks. And then we move on. But they chose to really highlight what Venus is doing. So I like Venus. I'm going to put her here. And then Q, you've talked about Q. I already said kind of where I feel with him. I feel like he's okay this week. But next week, you do not want to lose if you're Q. You do not want to lose that challenge.
Because we're talking. My next is Venus. But, where do you think Venus... So my concern with Venus right now is that I don't think Venus will go next. I don't think Nami is losing. But if Nami loses, I don't think Venus is going next. I think what Venus has to be concerned about, I think, is Mergatory. Mergatory is I'm really, really concerned about her. I think the only man to go home in Mergatory has been Josh, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be what we've seen. It's typically a woman who's not as connected. And I'm a little bit concerned about Venus going into that because it looks like she could be a prime target for Mergatory. Because when it's chaos and it's just it's not me. It's not one of my closest allies. All right, see you later. Cool. It's that's my big concern about Venus. And also Venus is great television. And this is nothing against Venus. But she's got to be able to, when she got mad after the challenge, right? And, upset people not listening to her. Obviously that's annoying. And I would absolutely be pissed off as well. But in Survivor, it's you gotta bottle that a little bit if you can. Casting's good when they get people who can't. But she's got to be able to bottle that a little bit better. But I don't, even if they go to Tribal, I don't think Venus, maybe I'm getting baited by the commercial for next week, but I don't think.
And Randon's exit press is definitely impacting my thoughts a little bit. If he's talking about Soda and all this, it's definitely impacting it.
I'm concerned about Soda. But, can we just go into my choice after Venus? Because it's Soda right after Venus for me.
Yeah, who you got?
I got Soda right after Venus.
Okay, you have Soda right.
So where's that? What does that put us at?
That's 11. So you have 4 people left.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got 4 people after Soda, right?
Yeah, you should have Tim, Kenzie, Banu, and Mariah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Jake Soda I got.
Now, sure. Yeah, that's who I have. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, so Soda I got next. I don't think Nami's losing, but I think if they are going to go, it's going to be Soda. That's why she's lowest on the Nami tribe for me, just based off the exit stuff and the commercial for next week. But I don't think she's going anywhere. She's great television. I like Soda a lot. She's clearly someone who's contributing a lot in challenges as well. Did she play? Did she play in this challenge?
She did.
Who sat out for not? Yeah, she did. Yeah,
she did. It was
clearly someone who's contributing a lot in challenges as well, and she's just so funny. She's so funny.
Now I have to check. I'm pretty sure she did. I have this typed in over here on my prop bet. Yeah, she did not sit out. It was Randon and Soda who sat out.
Okay,
and that was the confessional afterwards. Was Venus said, "I wish it was you playing in that challenge and not me." So she said that to Randon. So here's my question to you, because I have Soda a little bit lower. Look, we're almost at the bottom now. I just don't have it at spot 11. I I actually have Tim at spot 11, but we'll get into that in a second. Are you worried for Nami at all that they would have lost that tribe had Hunter not been so good at that last portion because Randon wasn't there? And now Randon's not there this week. Are you worried at all that they could start to fall apart now without Randon being there? Because even though they won the challenge last week, if Hunter wasn't tossing bags at the end, they don't win that challenge. They were losing the physical part of that challenge.
What did they get? They got stuck on the wheel, right? The rolling pin, right? In the water. That's where they got stuck.
Yeah, they could not. Yeah, because then Hunter eventually was able to get that.
I think with that challenge, and it's so funny because like the two challenges after episode 1 both involved height. Like if you don't get height, because I think they just had problems getting that first person over. I think after the first person got over on Nami, if I'm correct, the rest just kind of went fine. And then, Hunter and Tevin with the big pull was awesome. But yeah, I still don't see them losing because I think Soda's clearly a strong woman, and they lost due to height. I don't think they lost because of like strength, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
You know what I mean?
This week they're going to be sitting out. Tevin and Hunter will be participating in the challenge. It's either going to be Venus or Liz who are sitting out of this challenge. So even if Venus isn't contributing a lot to the challenges, she'll probably sit out this week. And that might benefit her tribe. Who knows? Like, we'll see what ends up happening with that. But I don't know with Murgatory so close if that tribe is going to be overly concerned with tribe strength because they got through those first bunch of votes. And even though they just lost Brandon, you're looking at probably 2 more votes. So if you have to vote out, they're not going to vote out Hunter or Tevin, I don't think. But if they did, I don't think that they're necessarily worried like, oh man, Venus is holding us back in the challenge. And I don't think she is. So
no, I don't think so. But I'm saying the same thing with Soda as well. Like I don't think she's like, so I got Venus and then Soda. So I don't think Soda is going anywhere either.
Yeah.
I just don't see them I don't see them losing. Like they were in last for a second because they got stuck on one thing, but they still ended up coming in first. It's not like they were like in the bottom 2 even. It's like they were able to come back pretty fast. They dug up those not puzzle pieces, the sandbags pretty fast and caught up. But yeah, in like the thing with the challenge this week, as well as for episode 2, if you didn't have height, that was going to slow you down big time, which is why I was super concerned about Siga last week watching the challenge. But I don't think it's going to be the same thing. I think it was 2 things twice in a row that involved height. I don't think that's what we're going to be looking at going forward.
Yeah. I'm going to actually kill the Siga tribe here then in a positive way. I'm going to kill them nicely. I have Tim at 11 and then I have Mariah at 12. I just feel like those are the 2 who will go. One of those 2 will go when that tribe eventually loses. I'm just not sold on the fact that Siga is going to lose. I feel like the fact that Jem read us that part of the clue and with the idol and everything, I feel like that is a good thing. That is working in favor of this tribe. So I'm not totally convinced this is going to be bad for them. I think they're going to win this week. Maybe we'll actually see some content from this day. That would be nice. But if they do go, it's going to be between Charlie's Angels taking out Tim. They're not going to take out Ben. And it's going to be between Charlie's Angels deciding, hey, actually, let's take Ben in. Let's be Jem, Maria, Ben, and Charlie. And, make Ben an honorary angel and vote out Mariah. Because Maria says, no, I have a better relationship with Tim. I'm not saying that Mariah has bad relationships. I'm not saying Tim has bad relationships. But we have seen Maria, Jem, Ben, and Charlie. Their relationships have been highlighted. And I don't think there's any way Charlie votes for Ben this early on in the game. That's his on-island buddy. It might be Malcolm and Denise, but that's his buddy. So I think it's going to be Tim or it's going to be Mariah. But I think that this tribe probably moves on. And then, just to give a quick spoiler as well, 13, I have Soda. So I put Soda here at 13 because I think that Nami just probably has a better chance of losing. And even if they don't have a better chance of losing, I know who would go home from Nami. I feel better than I know who would go home from Siga. Because I feel like it's either going to be Venus or it's going to be Soda. But I am reading into some of this exit press and I'm saying maybe it's going to be Soda.
Yeah.
So, that's where I stand on all that. They still have to lose though, and man, I'm just Yanu's gonna lose. Yanu's gonna lose.
Who's your last place, Phil?
I'm not saying yet, man. I'm not saying yet.
Come on.
I'm not saying, you know what? I will, because then you'll just do your best four. I go Kenzie at 14. I go Banu at 15. I go Kenzie at 14. I go Banu at 15. Because it's like Banu is who it's going to be. Kenzie going would mean that Tiffany and Q. Tiffany has to agree to what Q is saying. That's the interesting part here. Q cannot say to Tiffany, if you disagree with me, me and Banu are going to force rocks or something like that. That's not going to happen because Banu, God, I'm screwing this up. Banu does not have a vote. So because Banu does not have a vote, there is nothing that can be done in Q's power to make Tiffany work with him. So he can go to Tiffany and say, let's vote out Kenzie. Let's make this happen. Then Q can vote for Kenzie and Tiffany can just say, no, I'm voting for Banu. Now Q looks really bad going back to the camp after that vote because Tiffany went against him and Kenzie's going, why'd you want me out, Q? Why didn't we all just vote for Banu? Then Q is screwed, as I said, for next week, not this week.
Yeah.
But I don't see Tiffany turning on Kenzie for the sake of Banu when Banu is a wild card and Kenzie is not for Tiffany.
Yeah.
Kenzie is not an issue for Tiffany. So Kenzie at 14, Banu, shockingly, should have went home last week, didn't go home. He's still there. I think they're going to lose again, and I think he goes.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So should I just rattle off my last four?
Yeah, if you want to rattle off your last four, maybe
I'll rattle off
about Mariah and Tim since we
Yeah. So Kenzie I have after Soda, then I have Mariah, then Tim, then Banu. So Banu's obviously on the bottom because I think Janu's going to lose and Banu's going to go home. But I don't think there's a world in where Banu doesn't go home if Janu loses. So that's why I have Tim and Mo on. I have Mo then Tim for to round out the bottom three with Banu, because I have Tim lower than Mo because I think if Siga loses, I think the Charlie's Angels things will carry a little water, but I could see Maria just in Charlie being like, no, we want to get out one of the girls, and clearly Jem's going to be fine. So more of that's just hedging my bets. We haven't seen a lot from either one of Tim or Mo, but the stuff between Mo and Liz on the bench was really funny. And also shout out to Tim for the new way of having his buff and tying it in that manner. Very impressive. 46 seasons in, still finding new ways to use the buff. But yeah, for Banu, man, like I get it. Like being on the bottom is just so tough. And like in a 4 spot, like I was never like, even when I was on the bottom, like the 4th spot, it wasn't like a very obvious thing, right? Because there was fire there when I was in a 4 spot situation. Yeah. But to be so early in the game and to clearly be on the outs, like you know it, you feel it. Like I get how that messes with your mind. So I've really watching him, like I really feel for it. I hope he can, pull it together and use that, energy a little bit and convert it into some positive force for himself. But sometimes things are too far gone. And I think I'm worried that might be the case for him.
Tim W says, watch Banu play a shot next week and pull a Caleb, but he can't play it because he
can't play the shot.
He can't do anything. So what is preventing episode number 4 of Survivor 46 from being the unquestioned, unparalleled worst episode in the history of Survivor if we both think it's this obvious Banu's going to go home? I'm saying this as the internet, by the way, Jake.
I know. It's like, look, there are 3 people are gone. So there are 15 super interesting people, or there's 15 people on TV.
Wow,
a lot of them are really
interesting. Who did he not think was super interesting?
No. But like, we're not seeing enough from everybody. You know what I mean? But for the people that we're getting, I think this cast is great. Like, I love the cast as a whole. I think the casting in New Era has been amazing. 46 is no exception. And sometimes I'm trying to think of like a good Survivor example where it's been very obvious who's going home, but it's still like they could win. They could win the challenge, but as soon as they lose the challenge, it's not. That's going to be a boring 30 minutes, I think. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very like, I don't know, like what's a good like Colby going to Final 5 of Heroes vs Villains? Like it's not the worst episode, but it's like kind of like.
I actually love that. One of my favorite confessionals in the history of the show is Colby's confessional after he says he quit and gave up. And it would have been epic if he would have actually done something. But my God, that's one of the greatest confessionals in the history of the show. Like top 5 all time.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to think of like a good moment where it's like futile, and like the viewers
What about
know
Matt
it's futile.
Blankenship going home? Like that was a great episode. He got screwed by the split
Oh!
back in 44, and that was a great episode.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. It was so good. And we all like. I thought it was like, I wasn't in the country at the time, but watching it, I thought it was really compelling. Like, there's things that are going to happen. It can still be good TV, absolutely. But Bonner's amazing television, and it's just it's rough. I feel bad for him.
And I just want to throw this in before we start to wrap this up, but I do think there's an interesting mindset right now with the Survivor fan base, or at least the vocal part of the Survivor fan base, which is like that episode sucked because it was predictable who was going to go home. But that's happened since day one of Survivor. There's been very predictable boots throughout the history of the show, and it's still been good episodes of TV.
Yeah.
Do you want them to just start voting people off 5 minutes into the episode because, that one was predictable and then we'll move on? Like, there's still a challenge. There's still social dynamics. There's still gameplay. There's still advantages to find. There's still a lot going on. Don't watch episode by episode saying that episode stunk. Watch it as the whole. Watch Survivor as what is this season? What is the storyline of the season? Because if you were binging this, you wouldn't be saying, that episode stinks. You'd be like, okay, that was the episode that this person did this person did this person this did blah, 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 because then you know who's going to win because you're binging it and you're just going right through. You're not worried about, that was a little bit slower. So for me, whatever. And then Shadow the Cat or Alan says, Coach's boot episode in 18 was predictable, but it's one of the best episodes in the history of the show. It is.
That's a perfect example. What's it called? The Martyr Approach?
Ever. The Martyr Approach, yeah.
The Martyr Approach. Great episode of television. Oh my God. Like, that's an amazing episode of television. If you don't know what we're talking about, go watch it right now. Don't watch the whole season. Just watch that one episode. It's an amazing episode. But also, too, it's like, even if you look at, like, Redemption Island, right? Is it a secret? Like, it's still, like, even when Survivor's quote-unquote bad, which, Survivor's never that bad unless it's kind of, like, ugly for outworld reasons that we don't have to get into today.
I agree with that too. Yes.
But, like, yeah, guys, like, if you're throwing a couple TV shows at me and you throw out, like, a season like Redemption Island, a lot of people say it's one of the worst seasons of the show. I'm still going to watch Redemption Island. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? At least in my opinion, for compared to a lot of shows.
I would still watch Redemption Island over a lot of stuff, but Redemption Island is hard to watch.
Come on. Redemption Island's better than the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones. Let's be honest.
Oh, right? Man. See, I actually like I like parts of the last season of Game of Thrones, but that show should have just ended when they blew up the Red Sept or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, but you didn't like parts of Redemption Island?
I like the part where he can't save Francesca. That's about the only positive I got.
Come on, the Matt Elrod boot, too.
No, the Matt Elrod boot is one of the funniest things that's ever happened in Survivor. And then Andrea's boot, too, because Andrea could not believe it was coming. And unfortunately for Andrea, after that season, and here's my underhanded compliment. Unfortunately for Andrea, after that season, she was thought of as a much better player than she actually was. So we never actually got to see her play her best because then she was seen as a bigger threat on future seasons than she actually was. Because in Redemption Island, she should have seen that so clearly, but she just played too young. And I think it was like ahead of her. And then everybody saw her as a massive threat in every other season she played, even though her Redemption Island game isn't that good. Like, it was so obvious. So anyway.
Does she run into the similar situation as Venus? Everyone's worried about her being poverty.
Everybody's worried about every time Andrea would play a new season. When she came back for Game Changers and all that, it's like, oh man, Andrea is so good. When she came back for Fans vs Favorites too, and it's like Andrea's solid, but Andrea did not play a very good game in Redemption Island. Like her game in Redemption Island, everybody played a bad game in Redemption Island. That's the problem with Redemption Island. But still, neither here nor there. We're just talking about it is still a fun show. And I think a lot of times right now, people want instant gratification, or you do have a lot of these fans who just binge watched a whole bunch of seasons. Now they're sitting down watching. This could be their first season live, or last season was the first season live.
Yeah.
So they're saying 90 minutes is too long, whatever. 90 minutes is not too long. I would watch you guys for 48 hours if that was it. Like if we had like a little camera above and it's like, wow, there goes Jake to take another aqua dump. Here we go. Okay. Like I don't like it's just like yeah, I know, right? But it's like, oh, there you go. He's walking down the beach. Like I want to know what's going on this show. The same way people who watch Big Brother watch the live feeds. It's like, I love these little segments that they're showing on this show of the nonsense camp dynamics. And I'm so happy it's there and I don't want it to leave.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. the Survivor, even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like Redemption Island. Like, think of like good TV shows that you still want to watch. Redemption Island. I can like try to think of a couple. I mean, if I'm just throwing something on, it's still Survivor.
Yeah. All right. Before I let you go, who's your winner pick for the season?
Charlie.
You got any reason for that, or is it just because he's Irish?
Nah. Charlie went to high school like a town over from me, so there's like that as well. So we got a little because he's I think his parents live in Manchester by the sea, Mass right now, but he used to live like a town over from me. My family's more South Shore, like below Boston.
I hope this works out for you, Jake, because this is how I picked Michelle and Dee as my winners. Michelle grew up like 3 towns away from me, like same conference in sports wise. So I picked her, and I just kept going on that, and then she won. And then I picked Dee last year because I was hoping that by having a Florida winner, that would get some of these Survivor watch parties to come down to Florida.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say whether that's worked or not, but I wish it would have. And so Dee ended up winning though. So pretty much, if you bank on this person's going to win because they're from near me. Hey,
that
great.
Works.
It can't lose.
That works. Oh, so what are we saying? Is Charlie confirmed to win then? Is that what you're saying?
Actually, so you are a walking spoiler right now.
Dude, guys, stop watching the season. Stop watching. We just know because Charlie's around here.
Yeah. Charlie has it in the bag on lockdown.
So
no questions asked.
So do you don't want to watch the season? Fine. Don't watch the season. Charlie wins. No.
Charlie wins. There you go. Hey, and if you want to look it up, I mean, Jake, are you still doing somebody wants to know here, do you still stream? Are you going to talk about
I still stream it. Jake Wokane on Twitch. Okay. That's my name inserted with a whoa in there. Jake Wokane.
Can't say you're anything but creative, right? I like that.
Whoa.
I actually do really like that. Whoa. Well, I hope that's number 2, Jake. I hope that's not still number 1. Come on.
No, this is number 1.
Okay, thank God.
Actually. I can keep it together. I'm a professional, Phil. You know what I mean?
That's true. I mean, you have a Twitch. You have Jake Wokane. You can't just be getting hammered every time you're jumping on.
Exactly. It's because I'm live streaming on Twitch.
Because you're all right, well, this was awesome. I'm so glad we were able to get you on, or by we, I mean me. I'm glad I'm here. I know it's a bummer Will couldn't be here for this one. I know he would have loved this, especially with it being St. Patrick's Day. He would have probably been drinking alongside you. But so I'm really happy we were able to make this happen. Our first Survivor 45 person, and we didn't have anybody from 44. So you're our we had a gap between 43 and 45. So it's good to get somebody from 45. I haven't lost relevancy yet, which is really what I'm most concerned about.
First person of 45 and 40. Well, I'm not a 44. First person of 45, but also, am I the first person to be in the recent Brant Steele from alum from your guys' Brant Steele?
Yes. So we had Bruce. So I guess I'm lying here because Bruce did come on our podcast, but Bruce didn't do a predictions of power rankings because he obviously couldn't do that during 45, even though he played 44. So technically we've had Bruce, but it was for a tell-all. It wasn't for predictions of power rankings. So you're a first person here. I guess technically I've talked to somebody from 44, although he doesn't remember him being out there on the island. But you are the first person from the Brant Steele since the Brant Steele was released to jump on. Although that's lying because Cassidy was on for episode number 1 and she was on there. Come on, Jake. Yeah. You're making me look like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, too. That's the worst part. I'm like having to think about it. I'm like, dude, who do we talk to? But no, Cassidy was on there. So
Cassidy was
rolling through the Brant Steele, and Bruce wasn't eligible to be on the Brant Steele because he had technically played twice, and he may or may not be the next guest we have coming up for this podcast. So I'll just throw that one out there. For next
week, take it easy on him.
I know. For next week's predictions power rankings, he likes to hear that. That's what he likes to hear. But we had him on for the tell-all. That was a good time. I'm glad we were able to get that done. And I'm glad we were finally able to sit down with you, Jake. I know that we were hoping that this would have happened a little bit ago, but it's great that we got you on here for predictions power rankings. We'll hopefully have you on again in the future. Otherwise, everybody follow us on social media at Survivor Specialist. Become a patron, patreon.com/specialist. Go get a cameo from Jake. One of the guys just texted me and said, "When do I get a cameo from Jake?" So Blake, I'm telling you, Jake, Blake, and all these other people who are in the chat, which Blake was over there earlier. People want cameos from Jake O'Kane, so you're gonna have to make that happen soon.
Order off the website, not the app.
There you go.
Apple takes all of it.
There you go. Order it off the website. I love that. That's great advice. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on Wednesday night. if you don't only watch us for Survivor stuff, you watch us for some other stuff, Deal or No Deal Island, and we're talking about the most popular movie ever tomorrow night. So that'll be a lot of fun. It's a bracket that we're doing because it's March and it's bracket time. So that's going to be coming out tomorrow night. Deal or No Deal Island, and then the Survivor recap Wednesday night. Thank you all so much for listening. Jake, thanks so much for coming on. We'll see everybody next time.